Right guys, it's another day and we are back for some more Championship transfer rumours. Plenty to go through today. As always, I want to hear from you in the comments down below. If you've seen anything going on in the Championship that we missed in today's video, get it in the comments and we'll discuss it in next time's video. 500 likes will be massively appreciated, but without any further ado, let's jump in. We've seen Preston North End winger Jeppe Ockels joining Aberdeen on a season-long loan, and quite crucially involved in this deal is the option for Aberdeen to purchase him on a permanent basis at the end of the season should they choose. Now, this signing has just turned out to be an absolute disaster for Preston North End. To basically give you the lowdown on this one, Ockels was linked with the club while Ryan Lowe was still the manager. Ryan Lowe left Preston then after one game. We still went ahead with the Ockels signing. While we didn't have a manager, Paul Heckingbottom then gets the job. Clearly doesn't rate Ockels, and now we're left with a £1.7 million asset who the manager doesn't really have any use for. In the Championship this season, he only started in one match, came off the bench on 6 occasions and played a total of 121 minutes of Championship football. For someone who we spent the vast majority of our summer budget on, it's just turned out to be an absolute disaster. Obviously, Aberdeen do have the option to purchase should they choose. I can't imagine North End would be making a vast sum of money out of that option to buy, given the limited game time he's had at North End this season. But it looks as if North End are willing to sort of wash our hands with him, really. Heckingbottom clearly doesn't rate him. His opportunities have been limited. I hope he goes on to smash it at Aberdeen, but that's just turned out to be a disaster of a transfer for Preston, hasn't it? Derby County defender Sonny Bradley is heading out on loan to Wycombe for the second half of the season. The 33-year-old hadn't really featured that much under Paul Warne this season, only playing 301 minutes of Championship football. Only 3 starts for the experienced defender in the Championship up until this point. I can see why a loan deal has been sanctioned in that case. Another similar example is Oxford United's Will Goodwin, who's heading out on loan to Wigan Athletic for the second half of the season. He'd only played 20 minutes of Championship football up until this point, so once again the loan deal makes sense. And this one isn't a specific transfer for the Championship, but Ben Godfrey has joined Ipswich Town on loan for the remainder of the season. Norwich fans, I'd be interested to get your thoughts on that one in the comments down below. The reason I bring it up is because Godfrey was someone who Leeds United have been linked with in recent weeks, but obviously with him signing for Ipswich, that deal will no longer be going through to Leeds. But those are some of the done deals we've seen going through in the Championship over these past few days. Now, without any further ado, let's jump into the rumours. One of the biggest rumours going around the Championship right now relates to Roma midfielder Enzo Le Fee and his links to Sunderland. Now, according to the latest reports, the Black Cats have made an inquiry about the Roma midfielder. By the way, only just moved over to Italy, involved in a £19 million transfer over the summer, but since that point has not really bedded into that Roma starting 11. His opportunities have been fairly few and far between, and so there is an opportunity here potentially for Sunderland to pounce. Now, where do these links come from? Well, Lebris has previously worked with Le Fee during his time at Lorient previously, so already the Sunderland boss knows the player quite well. And it's interesting because it does seem like this is a position where Sunderland are open to strengthening. Obviously, a few weeks ago we were having those murmurings of Jordan Henderson being linked with a romantic return to Sunderland. Since that point, those rumours have been quashed, but Le Fee is someone who definitely fits into the Sunderland ethos. He's 24 years old, clearly got a lot of pedigree and potential, albeit it would be very interesting to see what the sort of finances involved in this sort of deal would be, but he's definitely one to keep your eye on over these next few days. We've had quite a big development in the race for Louis Barry. Obviously, he has been recalled from that loan spell with Stockport County back to Aston Villa and is now prepared to go out to the Championship for the second half of the campaign. While a lot of the big boys in the Championship, a lot of the top clubs have been interested, the likes of Leeds, Sunderland, Middlesbrough, it now seems like Derby could be leading the race to sign the 21-year-old, as they'd be able to guarantee him that game time that maybe some of the clubs at the top of the end of the Championship wouldn't be able to. Now, signing a player like Louis Barry, even if they were only able to get him on loan for the second half of the season, I think would be absolutely massive for a club like Derby, who up until this point probably have been a bit too over-reliant on set-piece situations and things like that, and adding someone like Barry, who can be such a threat from open play, yeah, that'd be an absolutely massive capture. But still plenty of Championship clubs interested, but Derby definitely have thrown their hat in the ring for him lately. As of recording, Hull City are close to finalising a deal for Matt Crooks, as the 30-year-old midfielder looks to be on his way to return to the Championship. Obviously someone who we all know quite well at this level from his time previously with the likes of Middlesbrough and Rotherham. Like I say, as of recording, that deal looks close to being finalised. By the time you guys are watching this one, it may have already been confirmed. We expect Hull to be quite busy this window in doing quite a bit of business to patch up that squad and, you know, try and get away from this relegation scrap. And I think signing someone like Crooks goes a long way in doing that. He's coming off the back of a solid season in MLS with Real Salt Lake. Someone who's obviously got tons of Championship experience already behind him and has an eye for goal from midfield as well, which is always handy. Now, on last time's video, we spoke about Jeffrey Schlupp and how Blackburn Rovers were interested in the Crystal Palace star, who's not really got that much game time for Palace this season. Well, since that point, plenty of other clubs have thrown their hat in the ring as interested. One of those clubs is Preston North End, but there's also plenty of interest from abroad as well, with Los Angeles FC and San Diego both reportedly interested in bringing the Crystal Palace star to MLS. Now, one of the craziest stories we've had coming out of the Championship this January is Josh Windass being linked with a move to Santos. Now, going off the latest reports, the Brazilian club have lodged a bid to try and sign the Sheffield Wednesday forward. However, from Sheffield Wednesday's perspective, they have no intention of letting go of Windass in the January window. Now, obviously, thinking back to the summer, there was quite a bit of speculation surrounding Windass then. He was out of contract with Wednesday in the summer. Eventually, they got him tied down to a new deal, but once again, we're here with the Josh Windass rumours. Now, I mean, the links to Santos have literally come out of nowhere, but I mean, what a potential move that could be for a player like Windass. For Sheffield Wednesday, it's understandable why they wouldn't want to lose him. He's had a really good season for them so far, scoring 10 goals in 24 Championship appearances. He's been on a brilliant run of form recently. Well, he's got 6 goal contributions in his last 6 matches now. Wednesday fans, what have you made of all this speculation? Let me know down below. Now, in last time's video, we were discussing Ben Barrett and Diaz and how a number of Championship clubs had inquired about the Southampton forward. Well, it does appear as if Sheffield United have won the race for his signature. Looks like that one will be a loan deal until the end of the season, and the Blades should have an option to buy in that, which I have seen mentioned as well. Obviously, the move to Southampton just hasn't worked out for Barrett and Diaz whatsoever, but he's returning to a club there in Sheffield United who he's already quite familiar with, having previously had a loan spell there, and he knows the Championship like the back of his hand. So looking to add a bit more firepower there. I think that one ticks a lot of boxes for Sheffield United. And we were also discussing Hamza Choudhury on the last video as well. The Blades are also looking to tie up a loan deal for the Leicester City star as well. I think this one will be quite a nice option. Choudhury's not really had that much action at Leicester City in the Premier League this season, but got a promotion on his CV with Leicester City in the Championship last season. Fairly versatile as well, can plug a few different gaps for Sheffield United. I think that'll be another decent pickup. Liverpool midfielder Tyler Morton's another player that the Blades have registered an interest in. Obviously, someone Championship fans will know quite well previously from his loan spells with the likes of Blackburn Rovers and Hull City. Was a big fan of him during that loan spell with Hull last season. Hasn't really had that much first team action for Liverpool this season, so a loan very well could be on the cards for him. It's going to be interesting to see what the future holds for Swansea defender Harry Darling, because he is attracting interest from quite a few clubs right now. I've seen Bristol City linked with the Swansea defender, and Birmingham also said to be keen on him as well. The reason why he's quite an interesting player to look at the moment is because his deal with Swansea is set to expire this summer. He is out of contract in the summer of 2025, and so there's potential there for maybe a bit of a cut price deal in January, or if that deal was to expire, you could get him on a free in the summer. Now, interestingly, in the wake of that Darling news, Swansea are looking to add to their defensive options themselves. They've already had an offer knocked back for Wycombe defender Joe Lowe, who's attracting plenty of Championship interest right now. You've also got my side, Preston North End, who seem to be in the hunt to sign him, as well as Plymouth, who have submitted a bid in these last few days. Wycombe is said to value the defender at around about 750k, so it'll be interesting to see if any Championship club does match that valuation. Preston North End youngster Theo Mane is attracting Premier League interest, with both Brighton and Brentford said to be interested in the North End youngster. Now, as Preston fans, we've not really got to see that much of Mane in terms of first team action, but been making a really good impression in the youth academy, and as Premier League sides usually like to do. They like to sweep up a lot of the top talents that are still in these Championship academies. Brighton and Brentford obviously have a really good track record themselves with bringing youngsters through. You can see why there'd be a bit of interest there, but from a Preston perspective, I mean, it'd be interesting to see what sort of fee we're demanding for a player like Malwini, who, while he's not established himself in the first team yet, obviously has bags of potential. Adam Devine has been given the green light to leave Rangers, with his contract set to expire at the end of this season, and amongst the clubs interested are West Brom. The Baggies have a couple of options here. They could obviously wait until the end of the season to secure his signature on a free transfer, or they could look to get a cut price deal done for January, as there are a few other clubs who I have seen interested. Birmingham, another club who I have seen linked. Speaking about a player with plenty of potential in the Championship, that definitely applies to Jobi Bellingham. Now, we've already discussed the Sunderland youngster quite a few times on the channel over these last few days. Well, Arsenal are now the latest club being linked with the teenager. Now, Sunderland are in a fairly strong position to negotiate this sort of deal, given Bellingham is tied down to a long-term contract at the Stadium of Light. But according to recent reports, it's been claimed that Sunderland have a sort of gentleman's agreement with Bellingham that if a big Premier League club does submit a suitable offer, they will play ball and sanction any sort of deal. So we'll have to wait and see if Arsenal do go in with an official offer, but they're definitely sniffing around Bellingham right now. We've had quite a big update on Melia at Leeds United. We've seen quite a few clubs being linked with the French goalkeeper. A few big Premier League sides are interested in bringing him in, potentially as a backup goalkeeper. There's also been a bit of interest from France as well. Now, over the last few weeks, most of the murmurings we were getting that were coming out of Leeds United were basically they wanted to keep hold of Melia until at least the end of the season, and then potentially they'd look to reassess. But given his form, which has dipped off in recent weeks, it's now been claimed that Leeds will be open to selling the Frenchman in the January window. Now, that probably would depend on Leeds themselves finding a suitable replacement, but there definitely could be a bit of movement there in the Leeds United goalkeeper department over these next few weeks. And speaking about goalkeepers being linked with move to the Premier League, that's still the case for James Trafford. While Spurs have now dropped their interest in the Burnley goalkeeper, Newcastle are still keen on a deal, although it seems more than likely that Newcastle would be prepared to wait until the summer transfer window before going in with an official offer, which definitely helps Burnley in their promotion hunt. They won't want Trafford to be sort of unsettled, but I'm sure those rumours are going to continue to swirl until the end of the window. But guys, there you have it. That will now wrap it up for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, any other rumours that you've seen going around, make sure to get them in the comments down below. But other than that, thank you very much for tuning in, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.